Do you listen to any podcasts?
I do.
All right, what do you listen to?
I listen to Worth the Journey.
There we go.
Oh my goodness, I'm sweating so much. Don't look at this.
You did great.
Thank you.
You did
Nice
super
job.
good.
That was so
Well
fun.
done. This is Worth the Journey, a Worthington Schools podcast. I am your host, Angie Adrian, and I get to serve Worthington Schools as the Assistant Superintendent of Academics.
And I'm Jeff Maddox, the Assistant Superintendent of Operations and HR. Together, we are your hosts, and we're thrilled to have you join us.
In Worthington Schools, we serve about 11,000 students and 1,400 dedicated staff members. Our pride really lies in the strong relationships that we build with each other, which in turn creates this vibrant and supportive culture in Worthington Schools.
Culture in Worthington Schools is about shared values, traditions, and the diverse perspectives that define our community. It's the foundation that makes working together not only productive, but also enjoyable.
Absolutely. And as many of you know, we have several listeners out there. Our mission in Worthington Schools is to empower a community of learners who will change the world. And through this podcast, we have the privilege of sharing the stories of those who are already changing the world.
And as our longtime listeners know, as we step into season 2, Worth the Journey is all about sharing stories and celebrating the amazing individuals in the Worthington Schools. Join us as we highlight the incredible journeys and contributions.
Today, Jeff, we get to highlight a brand new teacher to Worthington Schools.
This is pretty cool. She's pretty cool.
So, she shared with me that she just earned the Golden Trashcan Award.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, think
Do you
about
know
it.
what a
We're 2 weeks into
Golden
this
Trash
thing?
Can Award?
Yes.
Jeff, I'd never heard of that.
When I was the principal at Perry Middle School, we also
so
handed out
that's-
the Golden Trash Can.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't-
that was a coveted award back in the day.
So I, quickly said, I'm guessing that's like for a clean room. And she said, yeah, like my room. I'm kind of a neat freak and my room is super clean. I'm not so sure I would have ever earned the Golden Trash Can Award. I was an art teacher.
Yeah. Oh.
And we kept our art room pretty clean, but I don't think it would have ever
Said
won that
no
award.
art teacher ever. Shout out to all art teachers who are amazing, but let's be honest, your space is, there to be creative. For those who are interested in see what it would look like, swing by my office.
Yeah. Or
and you'll see.
swing by Maggie Torlone's room
Yeah,
to
let's
see
hear
the
it for
Golden
Maggie.
Trash Can
Golden
Award.
Trash Can.
Welcome, Maggie. It's good to have
Congratulations,
you.
Maggie.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Maggie, you are a 4th grade teacher at Brookside Elementary School.
Yes.
First year.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
So good. I literally absolutely love my job. I feel like I'm just excited to get out of bed every morning to be able to go and hang out with my kids. So
That's
it's
great.
awesome.
Maggie, to get us started, tell our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Worthington Schools.
I grew up in Columbus. I'm from Delaware, Ohio. Spent all my early years in Olentangy and had a wonderful time there. It was just amazing. I really fell in love with school and education and learning and was just so excited to always be at school and learn from my teachers and wanted to be like them one day. I went to Cedarville University, which is a super small school down by Dayton, Ohio, and just had the best education experience. Being in a smaller school allowed a lot of really neat opportunities to be able to be in the classroom and learn from our educators and our professors and have those close-knit relationships with classmates and with professors, and absolutely loved it. When I graduated, I knew that I wanted to come home to Columbus, even though I was only an hour or so away. I knew that I just really wanted to be here. Have absolutely loved and fell in love with the Worthington City Schools. I had my first interview with Jeff Maddox, and thankfully, by the grace of God, got this job and have loved it ever since. So I cannot tell more good things about it.
Dive in and talk to us about your family.
My family is absolutely everything to me. I really lucked out in the family department. My mom was a teacher. My parents met at Cedarville, which is why I was able to go there, and such a great experience. She was a teacher and just had that teaching and love of education mentality all growing up. I just always wanted to be like her, which is really where I fell in love with teaching, wanting to be like my mom. My dad and I have absolute different personalities and click so well. I would say my dad is probably one of my best friends ever. And then I have 2 younger sisters who also are some of my best friends. So they're just wonderful and super supportive. And I could not say enough about my family.
We had the opportunity last year to do kind of a 3-part series on new teachers, and it's exciting, and we got very excited about that 3-part series, but excited to have Maggie on because what we want to do is highlight your journey, kind of start to finish of your process, going through college to become a teacher, and then the interviewing process, application process, that kind of stuff. So why don't you highlight the things that you were able to do at Cedarville that got you prepared to be a teacher?
I went through the methods process of student teaching and of the education process and really got to be in the schools a ton. I probably was in the school starting my sophomore year of college and just being in the classroom and being able to watch teachers. And during the COVID, we were able to watch videos of teachers and become close with our professors. I think that was something that I really enjoyed, was doing life on life with a professor who is an educator and really being able to dive into what does that mean? Like, we're not just going into the classroom every day and just teaching a random lesson. Like, there's so much more that goes into it. And I really got to live life with my professors and see that firsthand. And then had a great student teaching experience. I student taught at Xenia Public Schools with a kindergarten teacher who I absolutely loved. She really taught me what it means to be a good teacher and to love your students well, even on the hard days. And I did not have a bad day of my student teaching experience. There were difficult situations, but I absolutely loved it and really got to see what it means to be in the classroom. And it was just so great. And I got to graduate Cedarville with 22 of my closest friends and watch all of them get jobs. And I live with 2 of my best friends from college now, and they're both teachers as well. So an apartment of 3 teachers, which is fun.
And what do they teach?
They teach 2nd grade and kindergarten. So
Nice.
Kindergarten, 2nd grade, and 4th grade in one apartment, which
Nice.
is a whirlwind. But
That's really cool.
Great experiences in your student teaching, and your at Cedarville University, and then you start to apply for jobs.
yeah.
Tell me about your interview at Worthington.
Well, my first interview was with Jeff Maddox.
Okay, so you get a phone
Shout
call.
out that guy.
Yes.
Yeah. How about
Huge
that?
shout out.
Jeff Maddox, please sponsor us.
Yes. Gosh, I remember that interview and it being so funny because in kindergarten, it's very big on dress up days and themed days. And I remember that day, I don't remember what the theme was, but I remember my outfit being so silly and looking at my mentor teacher and being like, I need to change. Like, I can't do this interview with
So
Jeff
it was
Maddox.
a call to come interview that day.
It was a virtual call. So
you
it
had to
was
jump on the screen.
yeah, I had to jump on the screen.
Okay.
I had to make sure the custodian didn't I was at my student teaching classroom. So I was like, okay, no one come in. I put a sign on the door, like, I'm interviewing. I was so nervous about it. And then what I loved about the interview was it was just a conversation. Like, we just talked about what it meant to be a teacher and the experiences that I got to have and what teaching means to me and why I want to do it and my vision for myself as a teacher. And I just remember walking away from that interview just so joyful and at peace, just because I was like, okay, like, this isn't this big scary thing. I just have to talk about what I love, and I love to talk about what I love.
Sure.
And there's nothing better than that. And it was a really great interview.
So
Shout
like
out.
all of us, we often wonder how we did at those screeners because we just do them and you never get feedback. I'm here to say, Maggie, in front of you, I went home that night to Kelly, my wife, your 4th grade teacher.
Yep.
And I said, Kelly, I just met a young lady named Maggie, and she arguably is in the top 5 screener interviews I've ever had, which was really cool.
Thank you.
And, fast forward, here you are. So you went through the interviewing process, obviously screened with me.
Yep.
Then you make it over to Brookside and
Yes.
interview with that team. Talk with us about that group interview.
It was amazing. I definitely was nervous about it, as every interview I've ever been. That interview, again, was simply a conversation just about what it means to be a teacher and what I can bring to the table. And I was talking with Angie earlier about that interview, and what I really appreciated about it was this team, they weren't looking for someone just to fill a spot. They weren't looking for any teacher to be able, they had a need and they just needed to fill it. It was they knew exactly what they were looking for. They loved their kids. I mean, it was said about 1 million times in that interview how much each and every one of those teachers and the principal, Jenny, how much they loved their students and they wanted someone that could walk alongside of them in that. And I really appreciated that, knowing that I was coming into an environment that held students first and held their well-being first above all else, and wanted someone not just to fill a spot, but to genuinely walk alongside of them in that.
Jeff, I'm really proud of the process that our principals put in place
yeah.
when they interview, because to me, that's the first step in building a relationship with our candidates, right? Regardless of who we choose, we're building a relationship through the interview process, because while we're interviewing you, you also have an opportunity to interview the teachers in the room, right? Or whoever is sitting at that table interviewing you, because you need to make sure that you're the right fit for the school that you're interviewing for as well. And you felt it at Brookside.
Yes.
Right? When you walked in that room, you were like, looking like, yep, I got
this
you.
This is it.
I got you. This is where I belong.
Yeah.
And you felt that, just like you want your students to feel that when they walk into your classroom.
Absolutely.
I'm going to steal Jeff's question. Maybe this is what he was going to ask. You interviewed.
Yes.
Tell me about the phone call that you received.
So I left the interview, and part of me was like, okay, I really think I got this job. But then another part of me was like, I did not get that job. Like, I'm gonna get a call, and that's gonna be that. I get a text on Mother's Day from the principal, and she was like, hey, do you have time to call today? And I look at my mom. I'm reading this text. I was like, Mom, she's going to call me, and I'm not going to get the job, but she's being really kind because it's Mother's Day. She knows I'm with my mom, and my mom can comfort me, and it's going to be okay because I'm with you. And even though I don't get this job, it'll be fine.
Negative self-talk. There you go.
My mom was like, who would call you on Mother's Day to tell you you didn't get a job? That's so silly.
Go, Mom.
Yes. And she called me and offered me the job. And I was in the car with my whole family. I was like, everyone be quiet. I don't know what this phone call is going to be, but I'm super nervous and excited. And it was the best phone call of my life. And she was super humble about it too. And just the way of, we really want you as a teacher, but we also want you to feel as though you fit in with us too. We want this to be a good fit for you as much as it is for us. And I just felt so valued in that phone call of, they know what they want, but they also want to make sure that overall we're serving the students the best. And so I was super uplifted about that phone call, and obviously accepted right away because that's exactly where I wanted to be.
I love the fact that you took that call with your family in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And would you take that call in private?
Or
would you take it in front of your family?
No, if I see Brookside pop up on my
You're taking
screen,
it?
Absolutely.
You're not running away. Well, of course, you're in a car, so where were you going to go
anywhere? But no, like, I would be so excited to answer that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It was great.
That's pretty cool. You did that in front of your family, and they could share that moment with you.
You used the word joyful, and I think you used it earlier. And what people can't see is the joy that we see in your eyes and in your face during this interview. And we talk about that a lot because it's a podcast and people can't see us as we have these interviews. Right. But there's a lot of joy. And Jeff and I have talked with other guests about joy versus happiness, right? You can be joyful or you can be happy. And you can be happy about a thing. Something can make you happy, but it truly looks like you live joy. Do you resonate with that?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there is a huge difference between joy and happiness. We can have moments of happiness, and happiness can be an emotion, but my joy is not rooted in anything that happens circumstantial. And that is something that is so important to me, and I'm so grateful for.
First 3 days of school. So new teacher orientation. Jeff and I both had a chance to work with staff and teachers. And we talk about the importance of getting to know students those first 3 days. Mm-hmm. And I think you have some stories to share about your first 3 days of teaching in Worthington Schools.
Yes. It definitely did feel like a year long of those first 3 days. And I didn't even there wasn't any material being taught. Those first 3 days were wonderful. I think that there was a lot of emotion going on in my mind of, oh my goodness, I'm here and I have 56 students that I'm going to be able to serve and walk alongside with for the next year. And this is so exciting. Am I ready for this? There was so much going through my mind. And those 3 days could not have gone better. It was absolutely wonderful.
Well, one of your goals for those 3 days, you wanted all students to be readers, right?
Yes.
You wanted to cultivate reading.
Yes.
What happened?
Oh, goodness. So I am the reading and writing teacher, and sometimes reading and writing can be super exciting for students, and other students that hear reading and writing and they're like, why do I have to do this? Which is fine. I took a poll on like the first day of school, and I was like, all right, how many of you really enjoy reading? And I would say there was like probably about 40, 50 somewhere around that percent of students were like, yes, I really love reading. This is what I love to do. I'm ready to go. And a big part of my class was like, I'm not really about that. That's not really my favorite thing to do. I'd rather be outside or playing my video games, stuff like that. So I looked at my students. I was like, all right, I'll make you a promise. 15 minutes out of my day, we're reading. We're doing a 35 book challenge this year. Like, I'm challenging you all to read 35 books. It's going to be super fun. We're going to get to talk about it. It's like, but I know a part of you is like, I don't really want to read. So my promise to you is, if you promise me to read for 15 minutes every day, you can be anywhere in my classroom. You can be on your desk. You can be under your desk. You can be laying down. You can be in my reading nook, on my bean bags. You can do whatever you want. But you have to be reading. And so they were like, all right, Miss Torlone, we will read. If you promise we can be anywhere, we'll read. I was like, yes, if you can be anywhere, like, you have to promise you read. And by Friday, every single one of my students, for the first 15 minutes, we are silent and we are reading. It is glorious. It is so fun. And they get to talk to me about their books. And
you had a visitor
I
come in
did.
your classroom. So that was a little shocking to you.
Yes. Trent Bowers came into my classroom on Friday.
He's notorious. Careful out there. He'll show up in your room.
I was so embarrassed. He walked into my room, and it was during those first 15 minutes. And I had kids on the tables. I had kids just sprawled out on the floor. Some were upside down reading their books. And I wanted to pull him inside and be like, I swear, I teach. Like, there's material going on. I teach. But hey, they're all reading.
That's
so
right. That's
I feel like I
You
gained
should have
something.
given him a book and said, get reading.
Yes,
If you want to sit
yes.
on this table, here,
Come
you gotta
join.
get reading.
He loves to read, so he would have done that.
Yes.
You said the first 3 days.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how you said it. Were awesome.
Yeah.
What did you do to prepare to make that awesome? That's not by accident. So what was it that led you up to that start of the school year? What did you do to put in place to ensure that those 3 days were great?
Talking to the third grade teachers, talking to the fifth grade teachers, talking to my principal, staff, professors from Cedarville, my mom. I was just reaching out to as many people as I could, just asking, what did your first 3 days look like? What do you do to cultivate that relationship with those students? I wanted to make sure that every single second of those first 3 days of meeting my students, there was not 1 minute that those students didn't feel loved, didn't feel cared for, or didn't feel seen. And so every lesson that I did was just revolved around your new teacher who you've never met before, who is new to Brookside, who's still learning all the traditions, still doesn't know where things are in the classroom or in the building, and you have to guide me there. She loves you, and she is there for you. And so that was really cool to be able to start that in the beginning of the year.
Because Kelly follows your mom on Facebook, she is also getting to see what your mom is posting about your classroom. Why don't you talk a little bit about the thousands of various items I think you purchased for your classroom?
Yeah,
You didn't know that
Thousands
it-
of various items. No, I've been in her classroom.
So
I've
Kel
seen it.
kept showing me these pictures, and I was like, holy smokes, right? So why don't you just kind of throw out a little bit of what your classroom purchases look like this summer?
Yes. So as a first-year teacher, a lot of first-year teachers know we kind of start with absolutely nothing and want absolutely everything. So I knew exactly what I wanted my classroom theme to be like. And so my mom and I worked together to create an Amazon wish list and got to pick and choose all these fun things that I wanted. And put it all together. And my mom posted it on Facebook, and I posted it on my social medias, and just asking if people wanted to contribute to my wish list, they would be welcome to. And I was just overwhelmed with how many people were so incredibly generous and giving to my first year classroom. Pretty much everything off of my list was bought, which was insane. I was not expecting that. And what I really loved was that all of my 3 English teachers from middle school, so my 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade English teachers, all bought me something very personal for my first year of teaching.
Oh, that's great.
Which was so
That's pretty
sweet.
cool.
To be able, because I was teaching English and they knew what that was like, first year English teacher. And so they all wrote me some really sweet notes, and I got to talk with them and hear their advice and stuff. So it was really sweet.
So the world needs to know, what is your classroom theme this year?
My classroom theme. So a little bit about me. I grew up going to camp, Lake Ann Camp up in Michigan. Was a camper there for years. And then 2 summers of my college, I was a camp counselor there. So my theme of my classroom is a camping theme. So we've got welcome camping signs. All of my tables are set up like cabins. They each have a cabin name. We have nature stuff all around. So it's just a really fun environment. We've got string lights to be able to set the mood of a camping mood, and it's just so fun.
They
fun.
eat s'mores every day for lunch.
I'm yelling on the s'mores.
Oh, yes.
S'mores
One of these days, I'm going to bring in
That's what I
s'mores.
was hoping she got herself to. But she never got there.
I got to go in her classroom and see all of that, but I
Yes.
was not offered a s'more.
No.
It didn't happen. No. But
Hey,
still,
before
good-
we close,
Yes.
talk with us about who your mentor teacher is.
She is the 4th grade math teacher in my building. So it's really sweet that we get to work together every single day, Katie Eisman. And she has just been absolutely wonderful. She has just come alongside of me and been super encouraging. And right after I got the job, she was very intentional in telling me why she really wanted me to be on her team and what she was looking for and how I was able to exemplify that. And that just made me feel so welcomed. As a first-year teacher, there are some nerves of, I don't know what I'm doing, or am I the right fit for this job? Did I really get this? Like, should I deserve this? All those thoughts are going through your mind. And Katie has just done such a wonderful job of eliminating any of those fears in my mind,
Great.
and has helped me really prepare, even answering the silly questions like, what do I do for lunch count? Or how do I get to this place in the building? And so she has really walked alongside of me in that and helped me with all of my small questions and all my big questions of teaching. Even though she is math and I'm English, those subjects are different, but she is just such an amazing teacher and it shows. And I've loved learning from her.
Shout out, Katie.
Yes.
Well, Maggie, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast, for sharing your story with others. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the classroom come winter break time,
Yes.
come springtime,
Yep.
and watch you evolve and grow.
Thank
You're
you.
already an awesome teacher, and super happy that you chose Worthington Schools. So
Thank you.
for spending some time with us today. But you're not
Absolutely.
done.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
Because rapid fire questions
We've
are
got
next.
some doozies.
All right,
Oh,
here we
no.
go.
So we have a rule. You can ask to pass, but the answer will always be no.
Okay.
Here we go. What is your favorite show you ever binge watched?
Gilmore Girls. It's so
Corey.
good.
Wow.
I've seen it about 7 or 8 times.
Sounds like I need to watch it.
What would you choose if you had to choose one meal to eat for the rest of your life?
One meal to eat the rest of my life would be my Poppy's homemade spaghetti and meatballs.
What was your favorite subject in school?
I really loved algebra. I felt like I really
Jeff,
understood
your
it.
face doesn't look like you liked it.
I was a geometry guy. Algebra, not so much.
I loved it. I started college as a math education major, took Calc 1 and a class called Beautiful Math.
Nice.
Quickly learned that I do not think that math is always beautiful and fell in love with reading.
What is the best concert you have ever seen?
The best concert I've ever seen was last summer, Morgan Wallen with my best friend,
Who is your role model?
my mom.
What is your first job? What was your first job?
My first ever job was babysitting, but I feel like that's everybody's first answer for a first job.
Okay.
I worked as a customer service person at Panera Bread on
nice.
36, 37.
Yeah.
And then the summer before college, I worked at a flower farm.
If you could choose a superpower, what would you choose?
If I could choose a superpower, it would probably be to be able to freeze time. Like just stop time for a second. But like everyone else is frozen around me and I just like get a second. It would be really great when my alarm goes off in the morning, just to like freeze time, just for a couple
Fair.
hours.
That's
Isn't
fair.
that called snooze? But
Yeah,
I guess
well,
it doesn't
Snooze,
freeze time. though.
Yeah.
This leads up to the most important question.
Yes.
What is the greatest cereal of all time?
Okay, the greatest cereal of all time is Honey Bunches of Oats with almonds.
Nice.
I do like the Honey Bunch of Oats.
I do
like
too.
the
But with
original
almonds.
more so than the almonds, but I'll eat both. But both are. Are you like me when you pour that out? You're looking for the big clusters. 'Cause
Yes.
I'm actually super disappointed when I see the tiny clusters in there. But when there's some big ones in there, I always save them to the end.
I'm always a controversial cereal eater because I put the milk first before I
That's
put
super
the
controversial.
cereal.
That makes no
So,
sense.
but it makes sense for me.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Maggie. You are officially off the hot seat. Thanks for playing along.
Thank you.
And
It's been a
Maggie,
great
once
time.
again, thank you so much for taking the time after a full day of work to come and record with us in the studio. We appreciate having you and look forward to visiting you this school year.
Absolutely look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want to hear more, you can find us on our Worthington Schools website and on Spotify. A big thanks to Corey Carter and our communications team for making this podcast a reality. And of course, to our students at The Ohio State University in the communications department. The journey may not always be easy, but it'll definitely be worth it. Thanks for taking care of each other and have a great day out there.